Hello, good afternoon. I will deliver my speech in Hebrew. So I'll give you a minute to prepare. הכנס היום עוסק במאבק בטרור, ואני רוצה להתייחס באופן מדויק וממוקד יותר למאבק במימון טרור, terrorism financing. This
is an integral part of fighting terrorism, but necessitates a special understanding and special capabilities, intelligence on the financial sphere. We at the Authority of Prohibition and Anti-Laundering are dealing exactly with this specific. This is financial intelligence. We saw OSINT and various other manners of information gathering. The intelligence that we deal with is FINIT, financial intelligence, which allows to monitor and locate terrorism financing, from which we can find the terrorist activity, capture and forfeit the money, prosecute terrorists as well. This is done, of course, together with all relevant intelligence agencies in Israel and the world. The main reason why we deal with this, with the same tools and ways by which we fight money laundering, is because this entails two felonies that have similar characteristics. Everything that has to do with money laundering, we look at the money, black turning into white. When we talk about terrorist financing, we look at money whose source is many times legal, however their destination is problematic, and it creates the felony and enables terrorist organizations to be active. In both cases, the financiers and the terrorists are working in the same methodology, trying to hide their real activity in the financial systems and actually use them. And here we get to the topic at hand, this combination of terrorism and technology, or trying to be more specific, terror financing and technology. In recent years, we have experienced a very meaningful process in world economy. It changes very rapidly, turning and growing into very innovative directions, very sophisticated directions. These change the basic understanding in the financial world and in the economy. As a derivative of this, in recent years, a whole line of new technological devices and instruments have been developed. They allow to carry value from one place to the other in the world without any supervision. The world economy is turning flat, speedy, and very cheap. This, of course, is the financial technology like the crypto, the decentralized networks that allow a transfer of values between various factors. They are based on encryption technology. In order to do that, a very famous and well-known example is the Bitcoin, of course. This is the pioneer. If in the past the discourse was around Bitcoin throughout the years, with the development of the instruments and the financial additional instruments among the professionals of the international community, there is a term which is called virtual assets. It's not a coin, it's not a currency, it's not crypto, because this is too specific and we want to maintain definition which is neutral technological-wise, which is also foreseeing the future. The virtual assets, the most well-known in this arena, are Bitcoin, Ethereum, Ripple, Litecoin. However, there's a whole long list of additional currencies that is around us each and every day. Each one is used differently, has different aspects, but they're based on various technologies. This is a whole celebration of financial innovation, a real revolution. And this revolution has many opportunities for the market. It enables to lower the cost of transactions, to transmit values, to improve global economy, to decrease the cost of transactions, but also improves the financial distribution and value distribution of those who don't have bank account. And of course, keeping the discretion. The market of these instruments is billions of dollars, and it is expected to grow and take a more dominant part and parcel of world economy. However, alongside these very meaningful benefits of the assets, we see many and meaningful risks. The main one, the central one, is the high anonymity, which is enabled through these technologies. The money can go between various factors without any middle people or any middle instruments, very much like cash. Although it is written in the blockchain, which is a decentralized public registration where you can verify the transactions, still there's different levels of anonymity, and the indication of the parties at hand is not really clear. Some enable Zcash or Narrow, where you cannot see the details of the wallet, so to speak, or the sum of the entire transaction. In addition, transactions can go off-chain, over the counter, and they're very complicated transactions like lighted network and others. In these aspects, virtual assets are very much like, in essence, to using cash, and so they are a high-risk field, very much like other instruments that are well known around the world, like gold and diamonds. The development of these risks increases vis-a-vis the tendency of markets around the world to minimize the use of cash, to be companies without cash, and so they close off this opportunity. For example, in Israel, the reform that was introduced last year of minimizing the use of cash. Secondly, this activity, as far as the risks go, creates risks that are cross-border of a new type, because this is done in an environment which usually does not entail any geographic identification of a place. Even if we do see an IP, the address, it can be changed very easily, and thus they can go around the existing mechanism of control in the systems that we have around. The third thing, there is no controlling, there is no supervising entity that can look into the transactions and see if there's anything that is out of the ordinary. There is no entity that has an obligation or responsibility to look into these various financial bodies and their transactions. In addition, there is a difficulty of the enforcement bodies to locate these assets in the global arena, and the legal tools that exist in order to apprehend those assets, to freeze them or to forfeit them. The opportunities and the risks that are a result of using virtual assets is something that the terrorist organizations are very much aware of, as well as the criminal organizations. We, at the Authority of Money Laundering and Terror Financing in Israel, we identify recently an increasing use of the platforms of virtual assets for the activity of financing terrorism and for money laundering of criminal action. In terrorism, the campaigns to raise funds are done not only on websites of the various terrorist organizations, but also in WhatsApp groups and Telegram groups, while they're directed to purchase Bitcoin with various services agents. There we have identified faulty mechanisms, and this enables financing terrorist organizations without monitoring. We also see evidence of use of virtual currencies and virtual coins in various forums, like ISIS, like Al-Qaeda, and also those of the terrorist organizations who are daily threatening Israel, for example, Hezbollah and Hamas. The level of sophistication increases. If we used to see money or fundraising through contributions vis-a-vis Bitcoins, publishing all sorts of videos of how to go about it, nowadays we see an activity on the internet, which is more sophisticated, which is using an automatic mechanism which creates a new IP for each and every contributor instead of a constant wallet, so to speak, and this makes it very difficult to trace. We refer to it as a multi-address wallet. We also see covered activity, use of mixers which are mixing the action, which makes it very difficult to trace the potential activity on the registration of blockchain. Criminal organizations also work there. The reform of minimizing the use of cash in Israel, which is now in use, has switched many criminals to the technological arena. More and more cash flows through these networks. Alongside, the enforcement bodies and the legal activity is not resting. And recently in Israel there was a very innovative indictment for professional money launderers doing it through bitcoins for financial criminal organizations, and the total sum that was discussed was 1 million shekels. So what can we do to handle these topics, and what does the authority do? I'll talk about it very briefly. 6 very meaningful elements. First of all, we require an international regulation while comparing the status of the virtual assets and other financial activity, monitoring the points of exit, the points of entrance and exit, reporting the authorities of anti-money laundering, as is true for all other financial services around the world. Second thing, we have to develop tools that will monitor and will delve into the activity in the arena. Everything is digital, everything is there, and we have to know how to investigate it to the fullest. The third thing, the enforcement bodies must improve on their skills. They have to do it, and we see a lot of activity being done, and this is not the place to detail what is being done, but we always have to continue improving. The fourth thing, we need to assist the private sector and the industry to try and find those out of the ordinary activity so that they would be able to report it to the authorities. The fifth thing is to have cooperation, proper legal tools, and finally, the contribution of the industry and developing tools to minimize risk and planning technology which will benefit the stopping of terrorist financing. The authority, the anti-money laundering authority, is part and parcel of several world initiatives. First of all, within the FATF, Financial Action Task Force, the international organization which is setting the obligatory rules for all states around the world, financially wise. Israel joined this organization just recently and is taking part in putting together an international standard as of last October. All countries must have certain policy on all the assets, all virtual assets, so that KYC can be performed on all clients, and to report the anti-money laundering authorities in case a suspicion arises, a suspicion whether it concerns terror financing or money laundering. This should be an approach which is risk-based. In Israel, we see an increase of 500% in reporting these platforms to the Money Laundering and Terror Financing Authority. In addition, we are publishing all sorts of guidelines to the industry in order to assist it in finding those activities, those suspicious activities. In Israeli regulation, after the elections and the Knesset is in action, we're going to see an order for anti-terror financing so that we can understand and see what's going on. And the second thing, encouraging the industry, encouraging technology. For the financial sector has a very important tool, developing technologies which will assist the authorities in the proper cases to achieve the proper transparency, so that we can see that there are checks and balances in cases where terrorist organizations are using them, so that we can identify these. We believe that only platforms that will implement design which is oriented toward finding terrorist organizations and financing and money laundering will be able to work with the traditional industry and promise and ensure the integrity of the financial systems. Together with all other relevant authorities, we are all working in order to make sure that the financial arena, with the new and innovative and special technologies, will allow and ensure the minimizing of terrorist activities and a very safe transaction. We'll be very happy to cooperate with all other relevant bodies. Thank you very much.